There is an enormous amount of manuscript evidence for the whole Bible, particularly among the Dead Sea Scrolls from Qumran and along the Dead Sea, in Hebrew, in Aramaic and in Greek, for what we as Christians call the Old Testament, preceding Christianity. And then, of course, for the New Testament, there are more than 6,500 manuscripts. It is the largest collection of any classical writing that has survived, the whole collection of New Testament manuscripts. And all of them, Old and New Testaments, are therefore preserved in a form that a classical scholar or a papyrologist would call authentic and in a pristine condition without any noticeable errors of transmission whatsoever. In the New Testament, there are 4 Gospels that have become part of the collection, the canonical collection of the 27 New Testamental writings, and there are names of authors attached to them: Mark, the oldest, Matthew, Luke, and John. We don't quite know who these 4 men were. All we do know is that there were 4 individuals, not an anonymous group or community, but 4 individuals, Mark, Matthew, Luke, and John, about whom the early church has ancient traditions, which are probably correct, that Mark was a companion and disciple of the Apostle Peter, that Matthew was the eyewitness and disciple Levi Matthew, that Luke was a friend, a colleague of Paul's who made historical research, interviewed eyewitnesses, collected written material, and that John was also one of the eyewitnesses. He says so himself, and he has the community that published his gospel. That's what it actually says at the end of John's gospel. To confirm, they confirm that he, John, was an eyewitness of the event. So we're going back right to the eyewitness period with these gospels and their authors. The sources behind the gospels are more or less twofold. 2 types of sources. One is oral tradition. Now, in those days, any male Jew had some knowledge of reading, writing, and what they call mnemotechnics. That's how to learn a text by heart and to be able to recite it at leisure. That's what people were taught at school, at elementary school in those days. And if you have someone like Jesus, who then himself teaches in a way that's easy to memorize, you have those 2 factors: someone who teaches in such a way that it's easy to memorize to begin with, and you have the people who listen to him who have learned how to memorize. Therefore, oral tradition is a highly reliable factor of textual transmission in the days of Jesus. That's number 1. Number 2, we now know after decades of studying these questions that local communities recorded the sayings of Jesus because they knew the next day he would be gone, he would go somewhere else. So they wrote down what Jesus said and did. So there is what Luke tells us in his prologue. It's quite reliable, quite credible what he says, that he collected all those written sources, which are almost sort of contemporary to oral tradition. It's not 2 completely different consecutive elements, but they are contemporary.